Hello and welcome to the Aligned Soul Woo and the Do Business and Manifestation podcast for entrepreneur women who don't talk about it, they be about it. This is your frequency shift to help you create the business and life of your dreams by shifting your energy and making moves. I'm really excited for this audio today. This audio is from an Instagram live stream interview that I had the pleasure of being interviewed by Hannah Becker. Hannah Becker is an amazing entrepreneur who is also in the same mastermind that I'm currently in. And funny enough, Hannah and I have been in multiple masterminds together. We do similar work and have similar vibes. Hannah is an amazing business coach who focuses on business strategy and energetics. Sound familiar? And she and I are leading the Be, Do, Have 7-figure workshop in March of 2024. And we're really excited about that. So, all of the information about that is in the show notes. Do not miss it because you don't want to miss out on how you also get to create your 7-figure businesses. Both of us have generated over a $500,000 in our businesses, and this year is the $1,000,000 year, and we are going to show you how we're creating it so that you can too. I'm really excited. You're going to hear a little bit about that. And so what we are talking about in this conversation is about both how we're going to talk about how important both masculine and feminine energy is for your business and what it looks like for us as CEOs who are manifesting our first 7-figure years this year. We're going to talk about balancing masculine and feminine energy in business. We're going to talk about feminine energetics and business growth, manifesting and creating 7-figure years through embodiment, envisioning, and action. We're going to talk about rewiring limiting beliefs and manifesting a 7-figure business. We're going to talk about manifesting wealth, embodying the high income mindset. We're going to talk about aligning your actions with purpose and service, and then also building multi-6-figure businesses with a focus on the manifestation, but including the structure as well. You are going to love this. Do not forget to subscribe, leave a 5-star review, go sign up for that workshop that Hannah and I are doing in March. Sign up for my email series, the Frequency Shift series, which I email every single day. Juicy nuggets that will help you shift and create the business you're obsessed with. And email me with topics you want to hear about at wooandthedo@anahob.com. You're going to love this. This is the best hour of your freaking life. Get your pens and your notebooks ready and let's freaking go.
Hello, gorgeous. Hi,
I-
Christine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, beautiful?
I am so good. I'm so excited for this conversation with you.
Yes. I can't wait. I can't wait. Thank you for having me. I am so
Yes.
ready because this is a good conversation.
Yes, this is such an important conversation. Oh my gosh, it's Katie, it's
Okay.
Katrissa. Welcome. Oh my gosh. So many amazing women on the live stream already. I'm so happy. So just to give you all a little bit of a background story, Christine and I have been in several masterminds together over the years, and we've both grown our businesses from scratch to multiple 6 figures. And we both focus on similar aspects, similar things in our businesses. We help specifically women create really incredible empowered businesses where they're not only profiting, but they're loving their lives. They're having just the time of our lives. That's the point, right? That's what business
Yes.
is all about for both of us, is having the time of our lives, really claiming our voice. And today we are going to be talking about the balance of masculine and feminine energetics in business, which, if you have been in business for a while, you know what this means. You know that you don't want to be hustling and grinding every single day of your life. You don't want to be overwhelmed and underpaid, and that's the solution that both of us solve. So welcome, Christine. Thank you so much for being here. Would you just introduce yourself a little bit and your story so my audience also can get a background on you.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So, hello. I see so many people that I know. So, hello, hello, hello. I'm Christine Michelle. I am the CEO and founder of The Aligned Soul, which is a transformational brand. I have about 20 plus years of executive experience. I was a corporate executive for a long time. I worked for Victoria's Secret in New York City and the Coca-Cola Company in Atlanta, and but all along I've always brought in the spiritual, the woo side in addition to the do side. It's funny, I was just having a call today. It was about simple planning to make bank. And one of my skill sets, ever since I was very, very young, was always to be able to be extremely creative, but also have that balance with strategy. And that's a rare subset because usually you're very creative or you can get the strategy. Usually you don't get both. And that's why I flourished in my career. And so I have been doing this. My I and a Hop, which is my company, was created about 10 years ago, well, almost 11 now because it's 2024. But I went full time in this business in 2018. So it's been a long time. And it's funny, Hannah and I have similar growth trajectories and like the goals. Like we're both, creating seven-figure businesses this year. And it's just super fun. I love what I do. I'm the woo and the do queen. I really want you to be able to bring all of you into what you're doing and the energetics, manifestation, like all of that stuff is super important, but strategy is also very important. So I infuse all of that in what I do. So it's all about be, do, have. I see some of the duchesses from the Be Collective here. So yes, they know be, do, have.
Oh, I love it so much. And this is, something we both share a passion for is being able to really balance the feminine energy, which if you're unfamiliar, I just want to share a little bit of a breakdown. What's the difference between masculine and feminine energy? And then I would love to hear your take as well, Christine. But so masculine energy in business is what we're used to seeing, right? It's when you join a business, there's a lot of action, there's a lot of push energy, there's a lot of doing, a lot of strategy, and it's really the foundational framework that builds a business. So masculine energy, there's kind of two sides to the same coin. There's the what I call the divine masculine, which is really powerful structures, really aligned tasks and actions that create the foundation for your feminine or your creative side, your flowy side, your magnetic side to thrive. And then there's the other side of the coin, which is more of the hyper masculine, which we might refer to as bro marketing, right? Where you're cold DMing people, you're doing so much action and you might be getting some result, but it's at the end of the day not very sustainable. So hyper masculine is really where I came into business because I learned from some hyper masculine mentors, which it worked for them and they could sustain that type of energy, but I could not. I knew that I wanted to infuse more fun and more joy and more flow and more peace and more rest in my business. And I didn't really see initially how I could do both. And that's where I really started to dive into feminine energetics and learning how to turn up the dial on my magnetism by claiming my voice. That was a huge breakthrough for me. But feminine energetics in business are the mechanism which magnetizes people to us. So it is our creative side. It is the part of us that's maybe a little bit rebellious and not like the conventional businesses that we see online. And so feminine energy is the receiving, masculine energy is the doing and the pushing. And so both are important, but many of us when we come into business, we only see the masculine way and we know we don't want that. But for me, at least, I thought that was the only way to grow a business. And so I burned out multiple times in growing my business and so grateful. I'm so grateful that I finally discovered feminine energetics and really how to incorporate that into my business because it changed the trajectory of my business forever. So Christine, I would love to hear, your take on masculine, feminine energetics and how did that show up for you when you first started your
Yes.
business?
No, it's such a good point. I was just talking about this today. When I come from a place, like I told you guys, I'm very balanced. I can be uber creative, and I also know how to move and set strategy. And so when I came into this world full time, it was a time when people were, of course, anti-hustle, especially because there was that point where everybody was pushing and diving into DMs and doing all of that. So but I came and I was very structured as far as like I have my plan. I know the way I would like my year to go. And I love to like know what things I'm going to talk about for the next couple of months, not plan it all, but just know what the flow of my business is going to
Yeah.
be. And so I got into a space that was so anti that that I lost that part of me. Not only did I lose that part of me, I thought it was, I was too masculine, I was too this. And so I went too far into the feminine energetics. And that not only ruined my business, I had to file
Same.
bankruptcy. I had to do like,
Wow.
it was horrible. And I was like, what? I'm losing my voice. Like, I'm losing who I am. And I was like, what is missing here? And I was like, it's because I'm in that. Like, it was a hesitation. It was throwing spaghetti at the wall. It was chaotic. It was just not good. And I was like, that's not true feminine energy. Feminine energy isn't standing still. In fact, when you can create, and I came back to the knowing of when you create like some really nice masculine boundaries, some really nice foundation, that's when you can go wild and you can be so uber creative and you really can create a successful business. And so I came back and I was always like woo and the do. And that was from day one, but I lost that in my own business. And I was like all like woo and, flowy and like, oh, we'll figure it out. And
Yeah.
I'm a curator, I'm this, and I'm not supposed to know what I'm doing in advance. And it was just not the right spaces for me to really lead the way I needed to with my voice. So it's
Yes.
important for us to remember feminine energy does not mean lean back, like lay down. It means that you get to be creative and you get to flow and you become even more creative and you're moving more because what we get to remember too, it's not I'm in feminine and then I go into masculine. When
Right.
you're in the femininity, the masculine is present. When you're in the masculine, femininity is present because it's all intertwined. And so if we don't try to like turn this off and turn that off and just remember it's all working as one, then you also remember that everything you do is compounding with each other. And
Yes.
the more you lean into listening to your body and your heart, you're going to be in harmony with the be do have.
I love that so much. I agree completely with everything you said. And something specifically that I want to talk about this tendency that we have as women to get into this feminine space, but we lean, like you said, we lay down, and instead of leaning back, we lay down and then we lean out. It's like a disconnection from our business and the results. And so it's like, I when I first discovered feminine energetics, having been, in corporate marketing for 10 years, it felt like it was the golden ticket for me to finally have everything I want without doing anything. So I was like, oh, I can just like manifest it into being, right? Like, yes, but there's so much more complexity to that equation. But I thought if I just literally just believed in it enough and thought about it enough, and unfortunately that turned into so much sabotage and so much seeking the block, right? This is what we have a tendency to do when we're in the feminine energetics realm, is we're looking constantly for the block. What is keeping me from the result rather than seeking the solution? And then it's a cycle. It's a downward spiral. So
Process,
it's not.
process.
Yes.
It's like stop processing.
Yes, it's not leaning out. It's about leaning back to and receiving. But the way that I talk about it is receiving is active. Like if you think about the way that you receive anything in life, whether that is money or love, like as a woman, a feminine woman, the way that I receive love the best in my relationship is when I'm tapped into doing the things for my partner that make him feel really good, right? It's not about me just sitting on the bed and like waiting for my king to like bring me
The great
grapes and wine. That's not it. That's not it. The true relaxed feminine, we do the things that are in alignment as we are being the embodiment of that version of ourselves that we want to that we essentially the embodiment. How Yeah, what are we embodying? That's my question for you. Is the be do have part of the equation, the be portion, what are we being?
Yes, I love that question. So, for example, I'm tapping into my multi seven figure
Yes,
year. I am being the woman who already has it, right?
love
I
that.
am being her every single day. And so I have this process. It's called the personal energetic vibration process. And what it is I get clarity on the $10 million woman.
Yes.
And I'm like, what thoughts is she thinking? What beliefs does she have? What feelings and emotions is she experiencing? What intentions does she have? Decisions that she's making and actions that she's taking. And when I get clear on those
Oh,
seven
I love
things,
that.
I do it,
Yes.
right? So you get clear on those seven things and I embody it. I'm moving it, I'm talking it. I don't need the $10 million to be the $1 million woman. I don't need
Yes.
$1 million to be $1 million woman. I can feel it and I can speak it right now. Like, for example, this live stream, we're having this live stream. The energy of this live stream is as if we're talking to millions of people because we are all here and we are giving that service. And so when you are embodying whatever you are manifesting, the way you collapse time, the way things happen really fast, the way you manifest it is by taking the action, doing the thing, feeling the feelings, thinking the thoughts of the person who already has it. You don't need it to do that.
Yes.
And that's how easy it gets to be. So that's embodiment for
Oh,
me.
I love that. That's so perfect. And when we do allow ourselves to be first and we focus on what is that version of myself that I'm creating, that I'm actively manifesting, what does she do? How does she act? What does she think? How does she feel? When we have that foundation for our vision, for what we're creating, then it gives us a framework. The framework that is specifically a masculine framework for how to then go embody the thing. The embodiment is the feminine, but the framework itself is masculine. And so we have to have both. If we have one without the other, like if we just do, and we don't have any of the being, then we don't receive, right? We get into that same type of energetic drain, the cycle, but we're not manifesting the results. So it can happen when we're in hyper masculine action or we're in hyper feminine embodiment or whatever you want to call it, the manifestation trap. Both of those yield the opposite of what we want. So we have to build this foundation. And it's a beautiful yin and yang, because as you're envisioning, right, you're embodying that $10 million version of yourself, you're getting a clear picture of, okay, this is what I want, this is how I move, this is what I do. So you're embodying both at the same time, because the framework that you're creating is masculine and the energy that you're embodying in order to get there is feminine. You can't have one
Mhm.
without the other, right?
Exactly. You cannot have one without the other. I call manifestation, I call it intentional receiving, because
Mm.
you are now intending on saying, okay, this is what I'm bringing into my life. And now I get to be the match for it,
Yes.
right? There's so much action involved. I did a post the other day because there was this girl who did this post about, I didn't manifest my business. I did action, or she said she didn't vision board, she didn't journal, she didn't do this. I was like, that's not manifestation. And then she was like, I took action. I'm like, manifestation is action. It really
Manifestation,
is.
yes.
All it is the unfolding of a thought that's now
Mm.
becoming something physical. That is what
Yes.
it means, basically. And so when we remember that you've got to take action, and when you do it in the feeling of being the person,
Mm.
that is the be do
Yes.
have, because you're being and you're doing in alignment. And guess what? You can't help but have it because it's law. And so that's what's
Exactly.
so fun about this.
Oh my gosh. I love the way you said that. That is so perfect. So we want to, so the steps, let's talk about like what's a process for creating this, because we're both in this process right now, right?
Yes.
We're both manifesting and actively creating our seven-figure businesses this year after both having this really phenomenal foundation in business. We've gone through a lot of, the vacillation back and forth between masculine and feminine. I really do feel like we've both found the sweet spot of the be, do, have equation, which brings us to our conversation here today. So let's talk about the steps. So step one, like we've been talking about, is really getting clear on the vision. What are you creating? Who are you being? Who are you manifesting yourself becoming? And at the same time embodying. So it's being as if you already were her. So what's the next step in your process after you've really created that vision for yourself and you have the 7 questions answered? What's next?
What's important, and everyone's gonna laugh, I think, because for me, I love to, get clear, right? These two things happen at the same time. I decide and I move.
Mm,
Because when you decide that I'm already her, this is already who I'm deciding that all of these characteristics, whatever I wrote about, the
yeah.
thoughts, feelings, decisions, and intentions, that's who I am. So I decide that this is mine, it's already done, because my desires are inevitable. But then I move, because it's
Mm,
important for you to move, take action, because you can decide and not move. That's why people are like, I decided and nothing happened. That's because your ass didn't move.
yeah.
So you need to decide, move in the energy of this. And I like to do it immediately. Do something that tells my brain and tells my body that I'm deciding that this is done, and I'm doing something that's
Mm,
totally opposite of what I normally would do, to start to integrate that into my body. And so as I move, then guess what comes up? All the stuff, anything that says, oh no, you can't have that. Oh no, this is, and that's where you do the regulation, the belief shifts. That's where you do all the rewiring, regulating, and moving again. And so
mm,
that's kind of the way I do it, is like decide, move, rewire, regulate, move. It's
yeah.
just something that you're going to continually do the more you come to integrate this new way of
Mm.
thinking, being, and moving.
I love that. I think that intentional process of deciding and moving at the same time. Again, it's that be and do at the same
Yes.
time. That's why, we can't like emphasize this point enough, that it's not one before the other, it's not one without the other, it's both at the same time consistently and with purpose and intention. So moving constantly in that direction towards that beautiful result, but also, moving towards desire. For me, one of the biggest shifts here is moving towards desire without the shame of the desire. So this was a big thing for me, because I used to be ashamed that I drove the car that I do, right? There was like, I didn't want to be
What's
seen
the
in.
car? Say
It's
it. Say the car.
it's a Lexus. It's a
There you
Lexus,
go.
luxury SUV. Like, I was so ashamed of these components of building wealth and building a successful business, even though that I knew that's what I wanted. I had to allow myself to recognize the shame that was there, because that was actually one of the biggest pieces that was keeping me from the desires. So driving the car and, staying at nice hotels on vacation, going on vacation, eating out at nice restaurants, the things that are the choices that are empowered by having greater wealth, those choices were something that I had to like basically come out of shame and be able to accept that, this is not only something that I'm proud of, but something that I'm really grateful for. So I would love to hear for you, what were some of the big things that you had to let go of in order to then, not only be and do, but then have the result of this constant masculine feminine process?
Yeah. No, I love that. I'm going to tell a quick story. So, your car story reminded me of when I went to pick up my Tesla 3 years ago.
Yes.
There was a big part of me that still felt like, well, who am I to
Mm-hmm.
have that car, right?
Yep.
No one there looked like me. And so I was like, oh my goodness, like, are they going to be like, who are you? Are you picking this up for your boss? Or, you know what I mean? I just had all of that fear and that shame, that integrated societal
Mm-hmm.
thing, that someone like me wasn't supposed to have a car like that. And so when I went to pick it up, it's funny. It's usually the easiest process, and it normally should be the easiest process, but there were like mishaps, because it had to reflect back to me that I didn't feel like I deserved what I had created. And
Mm,
so I went back like the next day. It was so easy to pick it up and it was fine, but I needed that first of embarrassment, like, oh my God, they're going to think I came here and couldn't get the car or whatever. But that really wasn't the case. No one cared. Like, no, it was my own thing.
Yep.
And that's happened in the industry. Like, oh, I thought I needed to be blonde or skinny or this or that in order to have success. And I had to decide that none of that mattered, right? I had to
Mm.
decide that, you know what, Oprah's a billionaire. It didn't matter. She has a very diverse audience, and it
Mhm.
has nothing to do with that. I had to decide that the way I look is my asset, that everything about me is an asset.
Mhm.
And so that was something about me owning that and shifting those, like the rewired, like, you remember I said the rewire regulate thing, because I needed to come into my body and decide that who I was an asset and not something that like the way everyone tries to say, oh, this person has it better than you because of that. I decided I'm not even playing a part of that story,
Mm.
because no, I was like, I
Mm.
got the same access to
Oh,
the same God,
I love
universe,
that.
sugar daddy. That's
Yes.
just the way it's going to be. And so that's a big part of how I get to be, do, have,
Mhm.
because I get to celebrate everyone. It does not matter, because I say I see their success because it is a reflection back to what I get to have as well. And
Mm.
so that's a big thing that is so important, especially in even women, like, because we think, oh well, he's a man, so that makes it easier on them, or I'm a woman, so this is going to be no, 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 no. We get to say I am the asset, and everything about me makes me want succeed even better. And the
Yes.
more you can come into that, the more you can really do that, then you can allow yourself to have it.
Mm.
But see, I couldn't allow myself to even have the Tesla until I recognized that, oh my God, there's part of me that still thinks that I can't have this car. And when I shifted it, everything like fell into place. They were like, we're so sorry, it was our mistake. They were
Oh
like
my
begging, like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's fine, it's fine. I know what it was.
oh my
But that was a
goodness.
story that I needed to say.
I love that story. That is so, oh my gosh. It's so funny how, I have, different story, but it's so weird how it's around cars. Like, specifically, like, the car is a thing that really evoked a lot of emotion. Like, I remember, when I was very little, there was a man in our neighborhood who drove a Corvette. He had this beautiful home with like Grecian columns in front, and it was just epic. And I, as a little kid, was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But then people would like make fun of it, or they would say, oh, he's just like selfish and he keeps to himself, and nobody likes him. And so that memory of having that specific reaction from people, like people don't like you if you have a nice car, or people like if you have money, then you don't have relationships with people. Those were the associations that I made, and rewiring those and releasing those so that then I could have the things that I truly do want. Like, I love riding in a luxury car. Like, it feels so good, the interior being like super quiet, and the way the texture of the different materials, like the leather and the it's just different. It feels like a complete experience rather than just hopping in a car to go somewhere. And so when I finally made that association, like, the reason that I want this is because it feels like an experience to
Yeah.
be in this vehicle. And that's not something that is shameful. That's something that I love. I'm like, my whole life is about experiences and creating experiences. So releasing that shame was everything. And I love that we both have some parallel stories about like what that can look like. And so my question is for you about okay, so it's a process of releasing and rewiring, and then going back to the equation of be, do, have, right? So throughout the be, do, have process, between the do and the have, between the be and the do and the have, you've got this really important caveat that if you don't rewire, if you don't release the things that are preventing you or creating shame around the having, you won't have the thing. And so I want to talk about the next step in the process, right? Which is for us building a 7-figure business. And I want to talk about how it looks for you specifically. What is the structure? Like, what is the masculine component of that business? And then who is the woman? Who is the 7-figure Christine that
I
is creating
love
this
this question.
business? Yes.
So good. Okay. I love this. This is going to come out so clear, because you're going to be like, well, damn, she picked that out really quick. And the reason why is because I'm doing this challenge with Stephanie, and she asked the question and it made me go into this. So it's So perfect that you're asking this. Okay, so let's talk about the structure. The structure, I like to keep things simple, and simplistic is very fun for me. And so I did this class, and it was called Iconic, and I took people through how I was creating my $10 million year.
Oh, I love
And,
it.
yeah, and I what I did was I created I call it simple planning, and I call it bulletproof planning. And
Mhm.
so what I do is I pick three aspects of whatever my intention is. So it's the first is the hashtag, of course. Of course I can do that. And that was the 2.5 million. Then the stretch was 5 million,
Oh,
right? The blow my mind universe, wow, oh my goodness, is 10. And so then when I had those numbers together, I looked at my product suite to say, can it support this? Because
mm,
you get to say, what would that look like? Like, no judgment, but how many people would need to come in? Do we need some higher ticket things? Like, what's going on with this to make it make sense? And so what I did was I have a large scale mastermind, I have a mid scale, all of those things. And then I looked at who gets to come into my world to grow it to
mm,
that. And then I focus on being the woman that can hold the space for the 10 million to allow that to come in.
mm,
Now, what am I doing? Like, who am I being that's different? It's funny because the question yesterday was, who are you um being, and how would things change if you had the
mm,
thing that you were
mm,
manifesting, right? And so when I thought about it, I was like, well, the strategy is tight. Like, it is a good strategy. It can support me throughout the business the way I set it up. I can have thousands, I can have hundreds, and it would be fine.
mm,
And so I was like, well, I wouldn't change anything about the strategy. I said I wouldn't change anything about how I'm showing up, how I'm interacting, the masterminds, the support that I have. I wouldn't change that. I was like, I wouldn't change any of the actions that I'm taking. I was like,
mm,
wow, okay. I said the only thing that I could see that I would do a little different, or how I would feel a little different, is I would go a little bit more into the joy and the happiness and appreciation. And I would
mm,
intentionally think some of the more expanded thoughts. And I said, those are probably the two places that I'm not being the person that's the $10 million woman. But I was like, my actions are on point.
mm,
And so when I got that, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm already being because sometimes you always think it's out there. I'm not being that. What do I need to change? I was like, I have to change nothing. Let me just think some more thoughts and continue doing and moving the way I'm moving, and remember that it is all working. Because as I said earlier today, I was like, look, $10 million woman, that could happen this year. It could happen next year. It could whatever. I've already set that as a course. So I'm in the GPS. It's happening.
yes.
I said, I don't have to say, oh, I didn't have an $800,000 month last month, so I'm off track. No, because I know that everything
Mm,
compounds. This could be a $50,000 month. The next one could be a $30,000 month. And I could also all of a sudden have a $500,000 or $600,000 day. Like, I know if I just set the GPS, then I'm going there regardless.
mm,
And so it's just a matter of being that woman energetically. And so I was
yeah.
like, I'm still going to take the actions. I'm still going to do the things. I just need to, I need to brush up on my feelings and intentions, and intentions, not feelings, and thoughts, so that I'm thinking everything is working. Everything is falling into place. I'm already the $10 million woman. Those are things that I'm putting in my phone to intentionally start thinking, because I'm like, I'm already doing it. I'm already her.
Oh,
So
so good.
that's what came up.
Oh, that's so amazing. I want to talk about and summarize just a few of the important points here because we have the same process. But when I was, sitting in my energy of my big goal, which is to 5x, right? Like going from 200,000 last year to 1 million this year. And then my stretch goal is 5 million. So I'm like, okay, what are the processes? And for me, I very intentionally put into place my product suite. I think that is something that a lot of people don't necessarily have, even though, we have the belief, like we believe we could be a millionaire, like within the year, or we believe that, we could feel it in our body, how that would feel. But if we don't have the product suite to support that, like actually sitting with the numbers and sitting with what that could look like and having the mechanisms to allow that to happen is absolutely essential and a step that is skipped far too often, even in really high level mentorship. So this is something I really want to highlight as like absolute key. You've got to look at your mechanisms and make sure that they're set up to support you scaling to 7 figures plus, because if you're not set up to do that, you won't, period. End of story. And this is something that I actually experienced for 2 years. My product suite was not optimized. And I was like, why am I not getting bigger and bigger numbers? It's because I didn't have the structure to support it. And it really wasn't about how I was manifesting, how I was posting, how I was showing up. So that I just cannot underemphasize, like, or I can't overemphasize this. You've got to make sure your business can support your growth trajectory. Period. End of story. That's number one. Number two, what you said about embodying the $10 million woman and making it tangible. You can't just have this thought one time and then expect it to come into your reality. It's got to become a practice, right? Like we've got to picture, okay, if I am practicing and I am embodying the energy of that $10 million woman, how can I do that on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis? And so for me, I call it the GPS. How do you make decisions? Do you use that as your GPS, or do you use your current reality as a frame for how you make decisions? And so this is absolutely key. These two elements of the structures and mechanisms, and then the active manifestation process, the active process to embody greater levels of belief in ourselves every single day, not just once a month, not just when we sit down with our journal on the rare occasion that we're feeling like excited. It's got to become a practice, right?
It's throughout the day. So if I'm thinking, I'm like, $10 million woman, does she do this? Is she doing this live?
Yes.
Is she not showing up for her audience? How does she answer this question? How does she come on this live? How does she show up? Like, how does she use the bathroom? Like, how is she walking? Like, I make sure that every single choice that I'm making it through the lens that I'm already her, and this is
100%.
what's happening. This is who I am. And when you can ask yourself, what does a $10 million woman do right now? Like, what is she thinking? Oh, what decision would she make right here? You are, like you said, the GPS, you're in the car and you're headed to California, or you're headed to wherever you're headed, and it's clean, it's easy. And are there going to be things that are going to come up? Yes, because you have to, like I said, you have to decide and move. You have to make those decisions and move. And if you're not moving in that energy, then you won't shake free all of the little boulders and the little stuff that needs to be seen. That's a good thing that things are being seen. That's a good thing that you're, a little nervous and you're feeling alive in your nervous system. That's a good thing, so that you can regulate and keep moving.
100%.
That is the key.
Oh my gosh, I love this conversation so much. This is literally like the conversation that needs to be had in so many coaching containers, because it really is it's a duality between the being and the doing that creates the having. And when we allow ourselves to really focus on, and I was actually having a conversation with one of my best friends this morning about, we can focus on the challenge, right? And it's okay to acknowledge, like, this is not an easy process. This is not hard. But what I like to say is, where our focus goes, energy flows, and where energy flows, grows. And so what do you want to focus on? What do you want to create? If you're creating the challenge, if you're focused on the challenge and you're focused on the blocks, you're going to manifest more of those things coming into your experience, simply because of the fact that you notice them. Yes. And so for me, I had a launch a few months ago that some people would call like a failed launch. I got like 2 people into a paid offer. And immediately after that, like 2 months after that, I had an offer that had 25 people enroll. And so it was like, okay, this 2-person offer, the failed offer, I could have looked at that and decided like, oh my gosh, like I suck. Like something is wrong. My messaging is off. I'm not winning in the way that I want to win. I'm screwed. Like that was like the thought path, the choice of the thought path was either that, or what can I learn here? Let me look at the data. Let me look at the structure. Let me look at the messaging. What was it that created this result that I can then learn from and grow? And so at the end of the day, if you really want to create growth, the consciousness with which you think about your experiences is the way that you will move forward, or you will move backward, or you will take steps towards your success and your results, or you'll take steps in the opposite direction. So this is the, the last thing I really want to talk about with you, Christine, is if you could advise the version of you who was in the hyper feminine, right? Really like just in the focus of manifestation and really wanting the results and doing like trying to hold on to the doing, but feeling like it wasn't aligned, what would you advise her to do? Like, what would be your coaching process for her today?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So my first thing is for her to come back to her body,
Mm.
because while we think feminine is leaning back and laying down and staying still, there is always, when you are really connected to your body wants to move. It wants to move. It does not want to just sit. Like, even if I know I have so many clients that'll say, oh, but if I married the billionaire, I wouldn't work. Lies. We think
Lies.
that, and then it happens, and you're going to be like, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? You're actually going to be moving with your passion and doing something. So one is to come back and pay attention to your body. Two is to remember your why. Like, I needed to come back and remember, like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the purpose? And come back to service and say, okay, I'm here to serve. So what do I do as far as a form of service, instead of trying to get people in my offer or try to sell or try to do all of those things to get something? I said, what is my heart-led reason of why I'm doing this, and how I'm gonna make a difference in the world? So when I came back to that clarity, then I was like, okay, decide, girl, decide and move. Because nothing that I know, none of the executive positions, all of that happened because I was already being in that position before you get promoted. That's just the way corporate is. That's just
Yes.
the way it is. You don't get promoted until they see you already doing the job. That's just how it is. And so I reminded myself of that. And I was like, well, how do I be the multi-6-figure, or how do I be the person? And that's like, I need to get up off my ass and go and forget what everyone else is saying. I stopped consuming. I started to only focus on my own thing. And then guess what? Ideas came, movement came. I started to do that simple planning process I was talking about. Like, it just all flowed.
Mm.
But I had to come back to my true why and the service aspect. Because those of you who are coaches and healers and spiritual people, and you have your own brands, or even if you're doing like a service industry, you're here because of service. You're here to serve your audience. When you come back to your why and what you're really bringing down back to the earth, it's going to inspire you to freaking move, not lay on your ass and not do anything. I also reminded myself that this is a damn business. Like, this is a business. As much as you guys, I know
Yes.
we're spiritual and all
I
this, this
love
is
that.
a business. You gotta, like, you need to plan. Like, you need to have like things in place. If you're gonna have a team, you need to be able to tell them what to do, and you can't do it if you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like, these things are important. So I had to remind myself that this is a freaking business. How would I act like if I was working for myself, like as a corporate person? What would I do? And when I got clear on that, then it was a no-brainer, the next
Mm.
steps, a no-brainer how I got to
Oh,
show up.
I love that. That is perfectly described. That is such an amazing process that you take your clients through. And just for anyone who's watching, who's interested in learning more about you and your services, what is an offer that they could jump into right now that would help them with this specific process?
Oh, there's so many. I've created my business where it's all like a stair step into all the things. And so the B Collective is like $97 a month. And that is where you come in, you get some of the business and manifestation basics, the foundation. And we actually implement some of the things that I talk about on my podcast, right? And then from there, if you want more access to me, you want further like help, you can upgrade into, it's called Queen's Court now, but we decided on my last live stream it's going to be called Quantum Queen, because I keep calling it that, and I'm like, I
Yes.
think I just need to call it that.
Oh, I love it.
So anyway, isn't it
So
cool? So we're going to do
good.
rebranding. And so Queen's Court is the upgrade from that. That's where you get access
Mm.
to all of the micro programs, like everything that I am doing in addition to the B Collective, so that you have like hands-on support to walk you through this. And then from there, if you want to like spend an entire year with me creating your multi six figure year, that's Legend. So Legend Mastermind is my
Mm.
year long mastermind. We're having our welcome call tomorrow, and I'm super
Woohoo.
excited. And
Amazing.
in this year long mastermind, it really is about be, doing, and having.
Mm.
It is really about getting your monthly recurring revenue. The intention is to have everyone in there with monthly recurring revenue at least at $20,000 a month, because that is the magic point. I'm telling you guys, like things just shift and change once that's happening, and you're like,
Yes.
oh my god, I know what I'm doing. And this is for coaches, healers, service providers, but also people that have their own physical products. I was
Mhm.
an executive in retail with Victoria's Secret, and so I understand that piece of the business too. So it's also if you have your own retail products, online products, because I can really help you with that too. But yeah, Legend Mastermind is a fun place to go. So if you have any questions and want to know where you fit in, just DM me and we can chat, and I'll tell you what the next step
Love
would be
it.
best for you,
Yeah.
depending on what your goals, your intentions, and what you want to create.
So powerful. Oh my gosh, I love those offers. Thank you so much for sharing those with us. And I'm also going to share a few of the things that you could jump into with me right now. So I have some really exciting things that are just about to be launched that they're not official yet. So you're the first to hear of it online. So I'm going to be launching a year-long experience. So the experience is called the Limitless Lounge. And the Limitless Lounge is it's a mastermind group program hybrid, which is really exciting because this whole process of building your multi six-figure business is what we're doing inside of this program. And you get access to, I have 2 programs a quarter. So you get access to 2 programs a quarter, masterminding every single month. You get a mastermind chat. It's just full of all of these different experiences. So that's group mastermind program that I have right now. And then I also have my one-to-one, which is the Rich and Relaxed CEO. This is for women specifically who are wanting to scale from 10 to 15K months up to 20, 30, 40, $50,000. So it's really about amplifying your processes, getting your processes in place and really solid, building that rock solid foundation so that you can shine. And that is the goal, right? I think we very much align on this is if you have the rock solid processes and frameworks for your business, then the way that you grow and show up gets to change and gets to be amplified even greater than what you could possibly ever imagine. So we tap into your magic because you are your own golden ticket, and that's what we do in the Rich and Relaxed CEO. So this has been such an amazing live. I'm so happy we did this because I think it just, reminds me and reminds all of us of this is something you can act on today. Like you can get started in creating your 7-figure year right now. Like there's still 11 months left in the year. And so if you're really serious about creating a business like this that is fun and, flowy and energetic and magnetic, but it's also structurally sound and it gives you the foundation on which to create your empire, then that's what Christine and I are both here to support you in doing. So anybody who has questions for either of us, please follow, comment, send us messages. We're here for it all. And I'm just honored to be, in, connection with this woman. She is incredible in the way that I've seen you grow over the last, we were in a mastermind like
So 2
almost a year. It was
years.
like 2 years ago. It was almost 2 years ago. We were in a mastermind 2 years ago. Now we're in the same mastermind. And just like the growth that I've seen in you since then has just been so beautiful and empowering and encouraging because I've just seen you really the way that I like to refer to it is like you seem very seated in your power. Like you seem very grounded in who you are and what you do. And I have no doubt 7 plus like 10 million is not far away for you. It's happening. And I'm just grateful to be on a live stream with you.
Well, thank you so much. And I want to say the same about you. When I think about it was 2 years, and I think at the end of this year, it'd be 3 years ago, like just your voice and how grounded you are and who you are is just so exponentially like much more powerful. It's amplified. And so it is so fun to just be on this conversation with you and just watch you shine. I'm always supporting all the women because that's just what I love to do. And I'm really like just so excited to see you grow and see that multi-million dollar year happen because I know it's
Yes, it
unfolding. So thank you for
is.
having me. It's
Oh,
done
thank
and
you.
done. That's what I
Yes.
like to say.
Done and done. Amazing. Well, thank you to everyone who's on the live stream for the entire time. I see still some of you here, so thank you. Anyone who's watching on the replay, please comment and let us know that you were here. We love you, and we hope to see you around Instagram. We're both on Facebook, and have an absolutely amazing February. We love you all, and we will see you later. Bye.